I'm Rob Gregory. I'm a professional photographer and I live in Chicago, Illinois. I lost my leg to cancer 5 years ago. It really makes you reevaluate what you want to do with your life, what you're spending your time on. I mean, you really see how valuable time is when you're going through something like that and you see that you might not have that much time. For me, I love photography since I started shooting in '96. For a long time, I pursued other things and I just did photography in the background on my own. I never really showed my work to anybody. It's just something I've always loved and it's been a very personal pursuit. But going through cancer, doing all this, it makes you reevaluate where you're spending your time. I was just over wasting my time doing stuff that I wasn't completely passionate about. So with my photography, I typically shoot people, specifically athletes, also lifestyle and travel images. Getting into disabled sports, I originally just started doing that in order to stay in shape. I didn't have a typical way to work out anymore with not having my legs, so I looked into wheelchair sports as my outlet for being able to maintain my athletic ability and everything else. And I was really surprised at how athletic these guys were. I think that's something that is very misrepresented in the information that we receive when we aren't in the disabled community. Just getting out there, seeing guys that are you perceive to have less ability than yourself and just seeing them like absolutely tear you apart on the basketball court. I mean, you quickly realize that, okay, this is a different level of athlete than you thought you were about to be playing against. A lot of my pictures started out with these guys that are playing disabled sports, and I just shot them as athletes because I think that's something that was very misrepresented and underrepresented in the market. And originally it was just doing it for some marketing materials for a team I was on, and then it started expanding from there just because there wasn't really anything like that on the market at the time. A lot of the pictures that I was seeing at the time, it was just people sitting in chairs smiling at the camera. And again, that just wasn't my experience. When I go to shoot people, I like to represent who they really are. I think the importance of imagery in advertising is more important than people realize. It's one of those things that kind of subconsciously gets in your head, and you form prejudices and things before you even realize you are. So I think the complete lack of disabled images in advertising is actually something that is the same as portraying it incorrectly. It's something that I didn't really even realize until after I was in the disabled community. But once I was in it and I started seeing that and started seeing the reactions to some of my pictures and things like that, it sort of made me clue into how underrepresented and when they are represented, misrepresented people with disabilities are. Yeah, I was at a portfolio review in New York City, and I was talking to a photographer's agent there, and he worked with a lot of top sports brands. And after looking through some of my work and looking through my portfolio, he said he really wanted to get this in front of some of these top brands that he's worked with. He said, there seems to be sort of a desire to go in this direction and show people with disabilities as strong and everything else. He said, nah, it just doesn't seem like there's anybody really doing it. And so by doing that, it put me on his radar and said, this is something that I want to get behind and I want to pursue with these bigger brands because it's something that they want to do. They just don't know how to do it yet. Before losing my leg, I really didn't notice the lack of inclusion. What I'd like to see changed in media is representing people with disabilities accurately. I think people don't really realize that it's being portrayed inaccurately, but when you get into the community and you see how these people are living their lives and what they're doing, what they're able to do in athletics and anything else that they choose to do, it really shows a sharp disparity between how they're represented and how they're actually living their lives. So I think that's something that can definitely be improved going forward.